Welcome back for the latest episode of Rocket League Decision Making. Today I am here with a guest I am so excited to have, someone very influential to my own gameplay, Poquito. Poquito is a grand champion with 2,100 hours, give or take with some PS4 playtime in there, and he's also a premier pack creator and a figurehead within the Rocket League community. Poquito, how are you today?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Dude, I'm so excited to be doing this. Let's jump into these questions. Kicking it off, what is your biggest strength in Rocket League?
I think it depends. It changes all the time. I think because of the where the rank I'm at, the inconsistency in my play means that my best sort of strength could be different from day to day. But it's just between my mechanics and the decisions I make. That's probably which ones it bounces between.
Okay.
It just depends on who I queue with, whether I'm solo queuing, whether I'm chilling, whether I'm, try-harding. I don't know. It depends.
So that might transition into question number 2 then. What is your biggest weakness?
I think I'm going to say, adapting overall. Just being able to, read who I'm with, especially given that I solo queue a fair amount, which is probably detrimental to my own rank, but it just seems as if sometimes I just have no clue what the other person's doing. And as much as they might be doing something right, I still don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult for me to adapt to that,
Yeah, and that's what prompted this whole video series, is that I would play with people and they would do something that would just blow my mind, good or bad. The thought was, why that? Yeah. And then oftentimes they followed up with some toxic comment about how you don't do anything right.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Bro,
so
literally solo queue life right there. Yeah. It's just you could do pretty solid stuff all game, and then someone could still flame you for not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it just we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We won't talk about toxicity in rank right now. That's something we could go on about all day.
So before we jump into rank, then do you warm up before you start to play Rocket League?
Not a stupid amount. I was watching a video before this, and I noticed that I think it was Queen Bee who said 2 hours, and I don't really do that just because most of the time my time is limited. Mm-hmm. I'm actually I don't know. I'm a freelance designer, so I'm at home.
Okay.
So I have to make the most out of my time. So I get on. I'm 10 minutes into free play. I'm like, am I playing well? If I'm not, then I won't play.
Okay.
In ranked, but if I am, then I will. And then if I just don't play well, I'll just keep going with free play for half an hour. And if I'm still playing like an idiot, then I just won't bother.
That's an interesting approach, though, because oftentimes a lot of people's answer is, they'll give it a certain amount of time and then they jump in, and good or bad. Like you if you warm up, if you're playing well or not.
I think it's just because of the fact that I solo queue so often. It's just am I going to be carrying my teammates today? Am I going to be able to? Because if I'm not going to be able to, then there's no point. Just because of the fact that it's so inconsistent and it's so volatile in ranked, you just don't know. And maybe I should just keep playing, when I'm playing good or bad, just to play through it. But I play the game to enjoy it more than I do rank up. So for me, it's just counterintuitive.
Okay. Well, speaking of counterintuitiveness, or the lack thereof when you begin, what's one thing that you wish you knew when you started playing Rocket League?
Jeez. It's annoying because I've listened to the last interview and then I'm like, this is a good answer, but I don't want to say the last one because the camera shake thing was really good.
Oh, dude.
Camera shake is one thing. I'm like, but then I turned it off quite quickly. I'd say how much less fun you have when the game becomes competitive.
Okay.
As much as that sounds very sad, I loved this game. I still love the game, don't get me wrong. But the game has become more about how good I can get rather than how much fun I have, in a way. I know that kind of defeats the last point I made in the last question.
No, it makes a lot of sense if you've put the time into this game. Yeah. For so many of us, or even the people that are in the Grand Champ range like yourself, that's the goal. And when you start, you're just having fun, and then you realize how much work it takes to get to that goal. And
I mean,
it's finding a balance.
200 hours in, I was like, right, I'm gonna get good now. And I think that's just my mentality overall. I'm a perfectionist. It comes with the creative side of me. It's just like I really want to be good at something. I don't know. Maybe my brain just sort of switches it into a chore. It's just when I was like back in the day, when you were bronze, like bronze didn't even exist, I suppose, when I started. But I think it was Challenger 1. That's what I started in before it was like gold. When I was a Challenger 1 and I was like having great fun with my mates, when I was like meeting new people, and now I'm just like scared to queue with other people in case they're like going to bring my rank down. It's like, but it's just the way that the game goes. Like, and you have those days every so often where you think like, oh, this game is so fun again. When you play with mates and you're just laughing and you're crying, laughing nonstop, and it's hilarious.
Let me ask you. So it sounds like you started with a core group of friends in the beginning. How many of them are still around for you to play with?
Oh, jeez. Well, the thing is like I started playing Rocket League on my own. I played it from PS4. The reason I got good was because of packs, funny enough. I just used to play them a lot. And then I went on Reddit to find teammates. So I was like posting on like Rocket League teammate, whatever. It was a subreddit. And I found like 2 or 3 people that I met, and I still talk to them now. Mm-hmm. I went to RLCS Season 5 in London with one of them, which was like really nice experience. I still talk to a few of them, but none of them really progressed in the way that I did. Mm-hmm. In like their ranks have not. I think I just put more time into the game, and I was so focused on I wanted to get better, and they didn't have that aspiration.
I think I started with 5 or 6 friends, and 2 still play. Same idea. I outrank them. So even now playing with them, like, it's some of the funniest nights ever, but I'm not doing it to rank up anymore. And it's this weird, I don't know, conundrum.
I mean, they're like maybe champ 1 now. I'm not that low in that terms of rank, I suppose. And it's hard for, like, I can play with them for a certain amount of time and it's funny, but then at a certain point it's like, okay, right, we're not winning, and I know why. It's because of you.
Yeah.
Not in a harsh way, just like that's just how I feel, and it's like I want to win at the same time, and I just get too into it. I think my competitive side is takes over.
I'm excited for our gameplay.
I know it's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. It'll be good.
Question number 5 in my list. It's going to be, what got you, Poquito, into Rocket League, and then what made you stay?
Oh, I mean, I got into Rocket League because it was free to play on PS4. It was one of those things, like, Rocket League wasn't very well advertised at the time.
Still isn't.
No, well, I think it's a bit more, it's better advertised now than it was, across Twitch. And obviously, like, the esports side of things has taken over a lot.
Yeah.
But in that time, the esports was so small. Even though I did watch it back then, it was free to play. So they were just trying to get people to play the game, which makes sense. And I think should have been free to play still. Like, that's a whole different topic. But I think that's what made people join in the first place in some cases. But yeah, so I started like on PS4 in season 2-ish, and then it was free to play. I decided, like, this is, I didn't know what it was, and I thought, oh, it's just a little gimmick, and I'll just download it because it's there and it's free. And then when I started playing it, I was like, actually, there's quite a lot more to this game, and I was like, oh shit, you can fly. There, like, at this point, I hadn't watched esports. I was like, there's the possibility that you could jump and then use your boost to keep flying. That's unreal. And then and it was like this whole thing, and then I got onto YouTube, and Subpar but in HD taught me how to, like, play for the first time. And then John Sandman was like, I was learning from him.
Yeah.
And you think, like, when I look back at that now and you see his gameplay now, it's like, Jesus Christ, I learned from him.
That road to RLCS so that he has is, where they had, like, devoted goalkeepers, and he was the goalkeeper. You watch that now, and you're just like, wow, that is what happened.
Yeah. I mean, I think what made me stay is, like, the competitive nature of it. My competitive streak always takes over. I wanted to be good at the game. I had fun in the beginning, and part of the fun to me is competitive, but there can be a bit of salt that sort of gets seasoned over, and then you can feel yourself getting enraged. And competitive stuff to me is fun, but it sometimes it can take over and just not be fun.
Yeah.
But that's probably the reason why I stayed, is just because I wanted to be good.
Okay.
This is what I will say is the only game that I can play, put down, and then I always come back to it. I've played good games. Don't get me like Spider-Man. The new Spider-Man that came out was good. When I played Modern Warfare 2, that was good. All of those games that like I loved, I got bored of.
Yeah.
Rocket League's the only game that I could never truly get bored of.
We're jumping ahead a little bit to a question, so I'll ask that here in a little bit. But before we get into that, let's talk about style as far as your own gameplay. How do you like to play? Is it aggressive? Is it back a little bit? Are you all over the place?
I don't know. Damn, that's it. Because sometimes it's difficult to identify your own play style. I think mine changes from game to game. As I said, like I don't adapt that well, and I think maybe it is a weakness of mine. But I feel like my play style kind of changes based upon who I'm with. If I know that the guy that I'm playing with is going to miss, I'm not going for the pass. I'm not going to sit up. I'm going to sit behind because I know what's going to happen. The flakes mentality is like you expect him to miss. But if I can see that he's going for it and he's actually hitting the ball, I'm like, oh, maybe I could go up because it's a bit more faith in your teammate. It just depends. I mean, some days my mechanics are feeling insane and I'm just like, right, I'm going for flip resets today. But I think it does depend. I feel like it's a shit answer to give.
So then let me ask the other side of it, though, is maybe it's hard to tell how you like to play, but how would you like to play? Do you want to be going for flip resets all the time, or do you kind of want to be the anchor?
There's a play style that I like, and I think is the most beautiful play style, and I think that's passing plays. How Flipside used to be, and how G2 actually currently are. The way that they play is like fast attack, counter-attacking, like passing football. I love the fact that you can bring actual football into Rocket League, passing the ball to each other. That's what I'd love to be able to see all the passes and like the avenues that you could take to score the goal, like the creativity aspect. But I think the best play style to go for as a personally, not as a team, is probably just like being an all-rounder, being able to bring out the flip reset if you need it.
Okay.
Being able to defend when you need it, being able to see the pass when you need it. That's why Justin is so good. That's why Scrub is so good. They can defend one-on-one. They can do flip resets. They can do all these crazy mechanics. But when it comes down to it, they're just a solid player. It's like the difference between K-Dop and Justin is that Justin's that mechanical genius, whereas K-Dop is very solid positionally. He does the basics right. I think the mix of those two players is like the perfect player. The Garrett G in Cup. That's why you need a mix of playstyles in a team. But I think that's why Garrett G and Justin have worked so well together. Is because he's like the solid, doesn't do anything too fancy, but then Justin does all this nut stuff. So it's like you can't tell what's gonna come next.
Okay. So I think part of what you said there alludes to my next question, and that is, as a Liverpool supporter, you're well-versed in beautiful football. You are. So for you, Poquito, what is beautiful Rocket League?
Like I say, man, it's passing, bro. Oh, the way that G2 pass sometimes is just, you just can't help but just go, oh. It's like, ooh, you get like a good feeling from it. It's like, this is why I love how Flipside used to play as well. When Marky Dudar was about like Cooksir and Greasy, and they used to pass to each other all the time, and I just love that. The 3-man Dignitas players that Violet, Panda and Turbo and K-Dot used to do. I just love that. That's my favorite. Every time I watch it,
it is a thing of beauty.
That's why I'm a fan of G2. As much as I love Rizzo because I supported him as a content creator before. I guess not before he got famous, but from the very beginning in a way. But what made me like G2 overall is just because they've rotated their players, but the play style has remained the same. It's always passing, and I don't know, that mentality is so awesome to me.
All right, well, Poquito, you recently tweeted that you're kind of getting over Rocket League. So
Oh yes, that's it. There,
you
that
did.
was a tweet.
What
Yeah,
what what would need to happen to make you fall back in love with the game?
I think it's one of them things. Like you have, obviously, you have these good days and bad days, and I know everyone does. But when you're in that moment and you're like, I hate this game with every fiber of my being, it doesn't matter whether anyone else is having a bad day because you're having a bad day, and you're just like, what can I do? I can't buy a win. This season has been a struggle for me. I think I was 1700 last season, and this season, like, champ 3 is a struggle. And I don't know what it is, but I think a lot of people are relating to it. And I got a likes on a tweet before. That tweet was about something. It was like me struggling in champ 3, and everyone was like, holy shit, dude, like, I'm struggling too, blah blah blah. People are agreeing, and it's one of those things. I think maybe it's just that I was having a bad couple of weeks. There's some weeks or days where you're just like, I cannot buy a win, and it just makes you think, oh, I can't play this game because I don't find it fun, because I get annoyed every time I play it. I think maybe all it takes is to like it again is just if you play with someone. I think that's the advice I'd give if anyone feels like they're over a game. The problem with Rocket League, in terms of the way that people get angry with it, so many games can go by in such a short amount of time, and you can lose so many games in such a short amount of time, which is not really the same with any other game. League of Legends is 40 minutes sometimes for games, and losing 5 games in the space of 25 minutes, it hurts.
It's rough.
Especially considering the intensity of Rocket League, like, overall. It takes a toll on your mental stability. That's what I will say. But I think playing with a mate and taking your mind off of the game a little bit, and just sort of, even if you're just going into sort of standby mode, and just, like, you're talking and you're having a nice conversation with someone, and then the gameplay is secondary, that makes you like it again, because it's just about connecting with someone else rather than just, like, trying to get your rank up. That's what pros say when they say you shouldn't care about your rank, is because it can detract from your experience and, like, how you improve, because you're too annoyed about the fact that you aren't good.
It's all about playing the beautiful game.
Exactly, yeah.
Poquito, 2 questions left.
Cool.
Here we go. Poquito, you're known as a training pack guru. What constitutes a good pack to you?
Shots upon shots is what I will say. There's too many packs that come out. I'm literally looking at the screen right now. There's packs that come out 0 out of 8 shots, 8 shots, 15 shots, 5 shots. What are you going to do with 5 shots? You're not going to, like, these redirects might be good, but you're not. People just want to sit there and, like, mong out and play a pack. They don't want to, like, have to change the pack every 5 minutes because they've already done all the shots in it. If you have loads of shots of loads of variety of everything, that means that this is why the ultimate warm-up packs work so well. Someone gets more, like, I guess, warm-up out of it. Like, people tend to use them as a warm-up, especially at high level. It's about variety. No one, like, five shots is just not enough, in my opinion, because you don't want to be changing, like, the pack every 5 minutes or 5 seconds, or,
You're completely
that's
right.
Why I always
That's
hear
a good
everyone
answer.
else talk about. Every one of my packs has, like, 35 or above shots in it. And what I do to make the pack so big is I look at other packs and look at the shots that they do, and I figure out which ones are good in those packs of a certain type, and then I compile them all into one and make one's, like, fuck off pack, like a big old boy. And I make one big pack, and then that's the one that I then ship out, and everyone's like, oh shit, there's so many different cool shots in here. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I've taken all the decent things from other people and then just combined it into one. You take inspiration from other places, and a lot of the time some of these shots are taken from other places just because of the fact that these are the shots that people can't score. They're the ones that you want to be practicing. Actually, I might mention something else, because I was...
Yeah, go.
I made a pack recently called the Clears pack. For me, it was like an idea that came with it, but no one really picked it up. I wanted to do something along the lines of, people would send me shots that they can't make, and I would then put them into a pack, and then it would be like the people's pack, and then everyone would be contributing to it, and it's like shots that some people can't make in game, and I thought that could be such a cool thing, because then it's like other people at high level struggled in it, and then someone else learns from that and gets better from it. But no one seemed to pick it up, and I just thought that was a cool thing. I tend to make packs off of the shots that I can't score as well, and I feel like that's a good way to do it. If you like save all your gameplay, review it, and then see what shots you didn't make, and then set them up, and just keep adding to it, and then you by the time you've gone through about 20 replays, you'll have 50 shots.
Yeah,
that would be my advice if you wanted to make one, I think.
Hashtag 2020 people's pack.
People's pack. It might work. You never know. Maybe if I get
great idea.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to bring something new to it, but then it doesn't. I don't think that really matters what I do if Psyonix aren't really prepared to change anything with the training mechanics in this game. They've sort of ignored it since it came out.
True. All right.
Let's got get political.
It's valid criticism. Here we are at the end. The famous question, you can only choose one, mechanics or positioning.
I think, because I've seen a lot of these questions on Twitter thinking about this, and I personally think positioning, because K-Dop's considered one of the best players in the world. The reason why is because he's always in the right position. Turbo has won 4 world championships. Everyone always says he's in the right position at the right time. There's got to be something to do with that. That's the reason why he's winning. Surely it must be. Garrett G is considered one of the best solid players in the world. That's because he's always in the right position at the right time, and he knows where to conserve his boost. He knows where to use his boost. That's the real thing. I think positioning overall will make you a better player than mechanics would. I think you could get further in ranked with just positioning. If you had perfect positioning and perfect mechanics, you could get further in rank than perfect positioning.
Okay. Well, next time you and I are conversing, it'll just be a second for everyone else. For us, it'll be a little bit, but we're going to be taking a look at some key moments within this gameplay. How excited are you to look back at your replay?
I don't know, man. Like I said before, I don't review my gameplay well, but I don't know. I think as a coach, if I'm looking at someone else's gameplay, it's fine.
Okay.
So I just need to look at this with a really scrutinizing eye, I suppose. But we'll see.
Well, let's check that out right now. Let's go.